Oh, there it is.
We
There's
are.
the live countdown. Hello, everybody. How are you all doing tonight? You guys, right off of the bat, a super special thank you. She made it all the way from third to first place this evening. Everybody's favorite Karen lady. Oh, look, there's the Santa that I
There
just
she
noticed that.
is.
I just noticed that, Karen. How are you doing tonight?
Miss Karen.
Audrey, how are you? And Tammy, good evening, ladies. Thank you for being here for so long. And Penny Sue, I know that you have been in the chat for a moment too. Thank you. Virginia, good evening. How are you? Kaz, hello. Linda, look, there's everybody's favorite Winking and Esco kitty. It's the other Amy with an E.
Yeah.
Hello, Amy. Hello, Helen. She took a break from her crafting. She decided to join us this evening. She knew. She thought, well, you know what? Since Amy's here,
My
maybe,
crafting sister.
yeah, yeah, maybe. Could be. Jay, how are you tonight? How are you, lady? Everybody's a resident encyclopedia of Fenton Glass.
She knows it. She knows her stuff.
That she does. Susie, what you got going on? Hope streaming is better than last night. Way too much lag time. Hopefully, well, you know that's the way that it'll go. Now that we're not selling anything, there'll be zero lag.
Right.
That's the way that it is, right? That makes sense. All right, guys, I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom. I know there's a lot of people coming in. Hello, Daniel. Hello, Nan. How are you? Hello, Matthew.
Nan said that
Tiger.
she finished her taxes. I'm jealous, Nan.
Get it.
I'm jealous.
Love the proactive.
Very jealous.
Oh, Sarah's up in the chat. Watch out. Eclectic Treasure. Holly, hello, Jason. How are you this evening? Hello, Amy. Hello, Kristen. How are you tonight? I hope you all are doing well. Happy Valentine's Day. I totally forgot about that until Allison graciously reminded me. I was like, oh, yeah, it is, isn't it?
It is.
Alrighty, guys. So welcome to another evening of Vintage Rescue Squad. You guys joining us tonight are Allison with Skeleton Keys in the Closet off of Instagram, and Amy from Amy's Rockin' Pop Shop, both on Instagram and YouTube, guys. And of course, you know, everybody's favorite blonde, Misty, Thrifter, Junker, Vintage, Hunter. How y'all doing tonight, ladies?
Good. I'm good. I'm good.
She's good. She's good.
Yeah.
You guys, just really quick as a quick reminder, if you're wondering who anybody is, or you by some odd accident, I know it's an accident, I know, but everybody's links are listed in the description down below. Both Instagram and YouTube links, when available, are listed. Is all you have to do is hit that link, hit subscribe, or hit follow. Again, it's just a really simple, easy, free, no obligation. You are not buying anything, but it's just a quick, easy way to throw a little support to some really hard-working people and supporting a small business, some hopes and dreams, and everything that goes on behind that. So again, it's just a little bit of encouragement. How are you doing?
Hi, Tiffany.
All right, you guys. So as always, let's just do this. Do you guys want to go around and introduce yourselves, and then we'll get into it?
Sure.
Allison, you want to go first?
All right. I'm Allison. I'm from Skeleton Keys in the Closet, and I call Instagram home. I haven't dabbled outside of Instagram yet. I'm kind of an all or nothing kind of girl. So this is a part-time hustle, but sometimes it ends up being just as full-time as my full-time gig. But I love it. It's my passion. I've joined Instagram Shop Network in April-ish 2020. And just keep on diving deeper. And I started doing lives in November of 2020. And, you know, once you go lives, you can't go back. So, you know, I'm not against static sales. It's just I've loved the community and relationships I've established with my co-sellers and my viewers, my buyers. So, yeah, I love it. Thank you for having me too, Michael.
Please, it's always my pleasure. You haven't been on the channel in a hot minute. So I was like, Allison. Allison. Missy, do you want to go next and then Amy? We'll just work around. Is that clockwise? Is it?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
Everything's digital, I'm forgetting.
I know. Well, hello, I'm Misty, Thrifter Junker Vintage Hunter, and I sell, reselling is my full-time job. I sell on live sales and very once in a while on Instagram but on eBay. And that's pretty much it, I think.
Okay.
Well, I love that Misty and I are twinning tonight.
Yeah, we're coordinating a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, happy Halloween.
I have said that so many times today, Amy. Happy Halloween. No, not Halloween.
And this business is always one of the holidays, and sometimes all of the holidays all year round. So happy Valentine's Day, you guys. And I am Amy with Amy's Rock and Pop Shop, Amy with an I. I am a doll maker, vintage doll head upcycler, the queen of cone dolls. I give them all a new life and a new body, and hopefully spread lots of joy to everyone. It is my full-time gig. I dabble in vintage reselling here and there, but I am a full-time crafter, and I do live sales here on YouTube and on Instagram. And I have started my own talk show here on YouTube, The Vintage Dish, on Mondays. And then we have Wicked Good Vintage with my lovely co-host Sarah from the Traveling Button here on YouTube on Wednesdays. And then it's kind of like YouTube is becoming my home, and I'm moving out of Instagram, but with one foot in the door. So Fridays, I'm crafting with my new partner in doll crime, Cole Eugene at Kitschy Flower. And that is called Doll Inclusive on Fridays. So we craft together. We invite crafters to come and hang out and use that as motivation to show up and craft with us.
It's so fun. I watched the replay from last week's, and it's so it's so positive, and it's like sometimes I feel like I could even do it.
Right?
I'm not.
There you go. No higher.
And then we auction off our item that we just created, or our creation, I should say. I'm in the sales thing. And then we have a little mini sale. So thank you guys all so much for encouraging me and inspiring me to come into the YouTube scene. I'm really loving it.
It's fun.
Great.
Well, then I guess let's start with that. Oh, I will say this. Let me try to keep that in my head. Keep it in the head. Okay. So you guys, just because, as a reminder, just because we happen to be the ones that are up here on the screen doesn't mean that you guys are not equally as important. As a matter of fact, I would probably argue you're more important. The only reason that we are up here on the screen is because you guys down there in the chat. So we do encourage you, if you have questions, to please ask them. Just a reminder, put it all in caps because it's going to stand out a lot easier. And that way, if the chat kind of starts rolling a little bit, they'll just jump out that much more. And don't forget, you guys are in a community, so engage with one another. It doesn't mean that just because we're here that you can only listen to us. We do encourage you to communicate with one another. Okay. So again, just put them in caps, put them out there, and we'll try to get to as many as possible, guys.
Hey, Marcy.
So the question that, hey, Marcy, Amy, that was interesting. What do you think? And I'm curious to hear what you have to say. But what is the biggest difference, or is there any difference, do you think, between selling live on Instagram and selling live on YouTube?
I mean, for me, I feel like there are little details, but the biggest difference is just the platform with StreamYard for me. And, I'll go on Instagram and kind of feel like I'm on vacation because I don't have to do the adminning of putting the stuff up on the screen. Not that I don't like doing it. I do. I like having that element. And in fact, I attended a conference for StreamYard so that I could learn more about the new features and start implementing them into my Monday show, bringing in video clips and segments, and you can actually do a giveaway and a raffle that it generates the raffle, So I'm excited about all those features. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to be starting to do that.
Stop
it. Yeah, I took all the notes, and I'm going to intend more stuff so I can hook you up in more StreamYard stuff. But, I mean, yeah, the difference is just the camera, the the mirror image, those kind of things, but the people are still great and wonderful. And it's, it's all a community. And I don't know, but I have moved over more to YouTube 3 times a week on YouTube. And,
Yeah. I think the platform just for having a live sale, just because of the chat, is so much easier to see, and it doesn't cover the product.
Yes.
So I think that that's probably one of the biggest things for me is, is when I have done Instagram sales is, you don't want the product to be covered up that you're trying to sell with the feed. So it's nice that with YouTube, it's over here on the side. So that's probably the biggest issue I always had with Instagram.
Now, well then, True T, I mean, do you like the horizontal or are you liking the vertical? Wait, that's vertical.
That's horizontal.
I prefer
horizontal.
condensing it even on StreamYard to where we're just portrait, side by side portrait.
Okay.
Because the item is the exact same size. We've tried it. Like if you are,
it is.
Yeah, you switch it and it's the same size. It just makes it wider if there's only 3 of you.
Yeah.
I saw that. I saw that on Wicked. Yeah, I saw that you were doing that. Okay, Jay's going to be lurking for a bit. We appreciate it. Lurk away, lurk away. Now, Allison, you've thought about it, but haven't thought about it, but have thought about coming over onto the YouTube, or you said you were all in. So is that something that you've entertained the thought of?
I have entertained it, absolutely. Because I guess my mindset is whenever your mind is closed, I feel like that's just bad.
I think so. Mm-hmm.
So I'm always open-minded. I feel like, unfortunately, like no matter what you're doing, you have to keep an open mind. But when I said I'm an all or nothing kind of girl, because right now vintage is not the time allocated for vintage. It's not as much as I would like. We hopefully will be purchasing a home later this year, and I feel like right now I have to have, like, in my mind, I want to have that easy, like, hey, like it's not my 1099, it's a, and once that happens, and but I love vintage, and I am also grateful that I love what I do full time, but I want to be able to invest the time. That I think that YouTube, I think it's a little bit more. I'm going to describe buying a car. Like, do you want to buy, no disrespect to a Mazda or an Audi? Like, an Audi is going to be a little more high maintenance. Like, and that's the way I perceive. And again, not doing it yet. So I'm, of course, please bear with me because this is probably like, Allison, you're throwing shade and you have no idea.
No,
but the way I perceive YouTube is you need to feed it differently than you do Instagram.
Yep.
And so I don't want to create something or initiate something when I don't have. And I think that this is true in general. Like, I think there's so many people who are on the fence. Like, they've been collectors for years and like, should I sell? I mean, at some point in time, you have to just take the dive. Mm-hmm. But I think now that I've done it, and now that I do have a reputation and a rapport, I don't want to necessarily lose that by prematurely jumping the fence to find out that I was not in a position to be able to dedicate the time that I believe it will need. So I'm not opposed to it at all. I think another thing that I've brainstormed about, like there's other working co-sellers that also do vintage as a side hustle. And so do we potentially do a group YouTube? And there's just all those things. I feel like, you just want to be open-minded, but also forward thinking, right? Because hopefully it's profitable. You also,
well, I think I appreciate that you are really fully thinking about it and not just kind of willy-nilly jumping in. Like, it seems like you really want to make it, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it right. And you don't want to, you kind of don't want to half-ass doing it. You want to put your whole ass in.
That I have a big one to offer, but
I understand.
Time, like, and I could be wrong, but I feel like there are people and buyers who will buy on both platforms. But I kind of feel like the same way about the idea of moving over to YouTube, probably the same way about when we're thinking about moving, like, are we going to sell our home or are we going to rent it out? And can I promise to my neighbors, or potentially if I was to like meld over to YouTube, I don't want to lose that relationships I've established on Instagram. I'm an old soul, and so sometimes this invested relationships, like, I don't feel like I'm cheating on my Instagram buyers or viewers, but
Right.
at the same time, there is a little bit of that like melancholy, like
There is.
when I decide to start that new chapter, there is going to be a goodbye to some extent, and so there's a lot going on. Like for me, I think it's like, let's take one foot in front of the other, one day at a time. And I think, for me, that's like, okay, 2023, you watch out. But
Watch out.
for right now, I'm very grateful, regardless of where someone buys. And just like Misty said, there's some items where I've decided I'm putting on eBay. Like, I could take my chances on Instagram Live. And we all know that whether it be YouTube or Instagram, people sometimes will pay more than they would on eBay. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yep.
Are you looking at eBay right now? Because this
Yeah.
can go.
Well, that's why I like when I do my sales, I do a lot of previews. So
Yeah.
I'm putting it out there so people can make that, they can make that determination, and they can look things up before, and they can kind of get an idea in their mind of how much they want to go, or how much, they're willing to spend on something. And I feel like that, to me, it helps, I don't want to say helps ratify it, but it helps to know that my buyers can also be prepared as well, I guess. When you go to an auction, if you go to an auction, like an in-person auction, and you go to the preview part, you're walking around, you're looking at stuff, you're seeing what it's worth on your phone. That's the whole point of the preview. So I kind of feel like that it gives my buyers a chance to preview the items and kind of get an estimate of what they might be interested in spending.
Well, you know what? That's really interesting because, and Amy, I'm going to bounce this one back to you then, is like, because, obviously Allison, Misty, and I, we're primarily doing vintage, and you have sold a hard good. So you've been able to go into a third party store, purchase an item, and resell that item. But again, you are primarily doing all of your handmade, specifically your cone dolls. I mean, has that ever, we talk about comparative pricing or the availability of an item on eBay. So, I've got like a piece of Weller pottery and it sells for $200, but on eBay it goes for $100. I mean, how do you, and I think that, and I'm going to guess here, but I'm interested to hear your perspective on your homemade items versus your vintage items.
So are you first asking me, like, how do I decide on pricing the items? And then how does it compare?
If you want to talk about that, that's fine. I think I get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like material.
No, I mean, I can start there and then,
Okay.
So basically, I mean, the rule of thumb for an artisan is to take the cost of your materials, and then you decide on what you want to make per hour at your job. And your job is creating this doll, for instance. So, it depends on what point in your life. Like, honestly, I really, at this point in my life, would be working for $25 or $30 an hour if I was out in the real world. As a nanny, that's what I was making. So I feel like I've earned that. So the rule of thumb is to pay yourself however many hours it takes you to make that creation, plus the cost of materials. And that's kind of the rule of thumb that you start with as an artisan. Now, I didn't start with that when I came out, in 2020, making my cone dolls. I was very mindful about the fact that, the world is going through this time where a lot of people are unemployed, and I felt really bad even trying to, sell things. But at the same time, I'm having to pay my bills, and my husband is out of work, and I can't work either because I can't put him at risk. So we do have to pay our bills. But I started my small cone dolls at $18, you guys.
Yeah.
And then gradually, okay, maybe 20, 25. But the way they have become more and more inflated
Desirable.
because it was the desire. I let my buyers dictate the price. You get to a certain point where the average price for a small cone doll is $65.
Yeah.
why are you going to start it at 18 and spend all this time, and you're taking up the time of your co-seller with these people bidding it up? So let's just start it at 50 at this point, you know? So I let the buyers over time dictate these prices. There was a time where it's like, okay, I started, you know, charging 30 and then it was 40. And now I'm pretty much set on like a $50 for the small and a 75 for the regular large and a 150 for the big, you know, ones
Yeah.
with the headpieces is the starting, because those are the average prices that they're going for in the live sales. So that's that. And then as far as the vintage, the reason I really started selling the vintage was to offset the labor of creating so many dolls, because I had all these sellers that I wanted to support, a lot of newbies that I wanted to bring into live selling, and I couldn't keep up the pace of 60 or 80 dolls or creations a week. So if I go out to the antique mall or the outdoor flea markets, which I felt safer about, sometimes I would buy a highly desirable item and just start it at what I paid. It's like, I don't care. I just need to find it a home, and it's another item, because when we show up as sellers, we each decide, okay, let's each bring 15 items. So I got to have $15 for that sale. And then I've got 3 more sales this week. So if I started supplementing the vintage, so I would have, you know, 5 vintage and 10 dolls, or sometimes 10 vintage and 5 dolls, depending on what I could do. And it wasn't really about making a lot of the profit. So I would go by what I paid, but sometimes if I got a really great deal on it, I would look it up and see, okay, what is, you know, what is reasonable to charge and that kind of thing. So I hope that answers the question.
No, it absolutely does. And this is the interesting thing. And I think that I'm going to remember my point was that I think it's interesting because you talked about cost of goods versus labor, or more specifically, the time that you invested in what it would be if you were out in the quote unquote real world working for somebody else. Let's put it like, if you were working for somebody else that was paying you, what value are you assigning yourself? And I think it's a really interesting point because it's something that I am very cognizant of. And Allison and Misty, I would love to hear your points of view. But when we look at like the totality of a sale, and just as Amy said, if we have, let's just keep it at 10 items for the sake of making it easy. Those 10 items, it depends on the items and especially how big or small those items are, what I am projecting the profit to be, as well as the time then that I have to invest finding the items, as well as then doing the sale, plus packing, invoicing, and taking the stuff. So I have to look at the total investment of time versus, okay, I have 10 items. I bought all of these for $1. I could
Right.
sell each of those items for $10, meaning I made 10 times my if I look at the percentage, which we can get into that. I never look at a percent, I look at a dollar amount. But at the end of the day, I just for over 8-9 hours, because again, we're going out and sourcing these things plus the sale plus packing. We're looking at 8-9 hours for 10 items.
Right.
And if I make $90, I'm at $10 an hour. And there's nothing wrong, and I want to be very clear about this. There's nothing wrong making $10 an hour. However, at 43 years of age, I would have to sell because I make more than that in my real job. So it's kind of like, and Allison, I think you're in the same position because you have to really look at financially. Misty, Amy, you ladies are doing this full time, so it's something that you really have to look at is the profitability versus the time. Yeah, no, nothing's for sale tonight, you guys. Sorry. So, but I'm interested to hear, Allison, Misty, are you doing the same thing? Because
Well, I look at, I'm going in, I mean, I go shopping once a week. Once a week I go sourcing and I go shop, I look for more things. And I'm spending $500-600, you know, each week on new things to bring to my sales. And not only that, you know, reinvesting in equipment or subscriptions to WorthPoint, and you know, if I want to upgrade and get a new ring light or get a microphone, or different things that you need for your business if you're wanting to add on to your business. And in creating YouTube content, I think I had seen Tina had said too, plus creating YouTube content as well, which is all kind of holds hands with one another a little bit too, because I go shopping because that's my content on YouTube. So I have to go shopping. I film myself go shopping. I'm buying things, I'm selling them, and then the whole cycle continues to go on and on and on and on and on. So yeah, I mean, that's a lot of time
Grow
and a lot
yourself.
of wear and tear on my car, and I'm going in 3-hour radius. Huh? What'd you say, Michael?
You
Nothing.
froze a minute.
You're good.
Oh,
You're good.
Good grief. So anyway, I mean, and I think though, and when you're filming while you shop, you're in there for a lot longer than what you would be if you were just in there shopping and not filming. So, I mean, I could be into a store in an antique mall, and I might be in there an hour. Well, if I'm filming, it's double that.
Yeah.
It's double that. So,
Allison, do you look at like your total investment time versus profitability?
I do not do the divide and conquer as far as the investment. Like, I have not determined my hourly rate, like what I would make. When you brought up the idea of feeling overwhelmed, I know for this year, like as far as when I'm sourcing, in the past, I always had a plus a certain amount of money in mind, especially for smalls. I love kitsch. I love holiday. And as much as it's easy to ship, at the same time, it can become a lot. So I think, I've been collecting for years. So there's always a question, do I need to be sourcing to begin with? Like, my husband's trying to encourage like one item in, one item out. And at the same time, I've kind of changed my mindset when I'm sourcing, and that's helped a lot, I think, in the idea of feeling overwhelmed. For me, no one knows what's in the storage unit that needs to be sold. I know what's fresh versus what's old. And when I do a live, if an item doesn't sell, I really don't like to recycle it because I have a desire to always be bringing something new. Like, I don't want someone to be like, oh, well, I think I saw that in a sale last week or 2 weeks ago. Go ahead, Misty.
Well, I was going to say one thing that you could do though, Allison, and it amazes me, and I need to do it. And I know Virginia, I think you're here. Virginia's like, I've been waiting on a shop my shop, Misty. You said you were going to do shop my shop. And it is so much fun. Like, you would not think that it's a little hectic because you're kind of like, but the things that people want to buy that have been sitting on your shelf and you're thinking, nobody wants this. They do.
Right.
And they're like, that thing behind this brown thing in the corner. It's like they can see these things, and it's enthralling to me. It's so exciting to pull things that I didn't think anybody ever wanted. Probably because we're so sick of looking at them.
Right.
Like, we are just so sick of seeing them.
Absolutely.
So you might want to do a come shop my shed.
Shop the storage shed. But yes, so I think that, and this is the thing that's a very fine, right? Because I truly believe, and this has been like with the support of many of my co-selling peers and friends, is that you need to know your value. And I know my viewers and buyers will be like, wow, Allison's raised her prices. But kind of like what Amy was saying earlier, if I know you can get this item on eBay for 60, and I may have bought it potentially for 5, this is not the normal story, but I'll find our bargains.
If
but
only.
like, if I right, but if I have in my mind, I of course always want to be able to give a good deal, because I think that's but I also want to have good finds. Like, my intention is high quality and a competitive price. I'm not saying cheap, but I
Competitive price.
Sometimes when I'm sourcing, I can pick up an item. I'm like, okay, if it's gonna be this amount or if it's this amount or less, I'm gonna get it. And let's say I said $12, and that's $1. I'm like, oh, it's just $1. I don't want that. And so sometimes I feel like what can happen is if we price things too low, we can almost discourage someone. Like, it's no longer a bargain. So
we devalue.
Absolutely. So my sourcing is a little different. Like, I live in the Washington, D.C. areas, and I work in 4 different suburbs of DC across the week. So if time allows, I'll make a quick stop at the thrift store just to see what they have in those respective areas. And so my sourcing isn't necessarily 5 to 6 hour chunk. It might just be like 20, 30 minutes of a quick walkthrough.
Yeah.
And I there's things I'm missing, which is fine. It's just more like, is there anything I can't live without? But I also think I describe to new sellers that, in my opinion, a live sale is only about 1/4 of the amount of time that you end up spending investing into whatever you're bringing to that sale. So I count 25% for sourcing, 25% for my lives. Well, sourcing, researching, cleaning. Like the pre-sale there's work before that.
Yeah.
And please don't hear this as a complaint. I'm just saying, like,
No.
the live sale is the easy part. Like I feel like
It is.
that is the part where, and I actually love it, and I love the sourcing. The post sale, that is a hard.
I love that.
You do love it.
I love shipping.
I don't mind shipping. I think it depends on what it is.
It's the whole completion of it. It's the whole cycle of completion that I absolutely get a thrill out of. I've bought it, I'm selling it. It's making its journey to its new home and to its new life. So it's that whole completion that I really, really enjoy.
See, I think the thing and I'll speak for myself, but with shipping is that, because again, I'm doing it out of home, is that it creates such chaos and such a mess
Yes.
that it's just like, oh my God, I need to get this done. And I know after the sale, I'm about to make a huge mess. And then I got to invoice it. And then I have to clean it all up.
Well,
And that's part, like, I can't just walk away from, you know what I mean? Or I can't, I could just, it gets to a point sometimes where I've got like a lot of paper and stuff right now. Because I'll hoard it, because I'm like, well, what if I need it?
well, that is the beauty of my situation that I have. I have a separate building that I go to, but some people do have, and if it's bugging you that much, and if you can fit it into your cost of goods and cost of running a business, some people will do like storage units that are climate controlled. And that's where they'll do their shipping. They've got a shipping station. They've got their bags. They've got their boxes. They have their like little office there. I did it right here where I'm at right now in my dining room. That was where I had a desk over there. We never ate at this table. This was like my workspace. And then I have an attached garage, and that's where all my inventory was. So I have a very good setup in that I don't have to do it in my home. So, and I love it. Michael knows, if like I know someone's going to be at the shop, I'm like, that's my alone time. I'm in my area.
She's like, oh my God.
But I think, Misty, you bring up a good point. And when you bring up the topic, Michael, of feeling overwhelmed, I think attitude makes a humongous difference, right?
It does.
I think, and I agree with you. Like, I definitely have like this, like, okay, you're going on to your next home. And there is a joy that comes to it, as well as closure. But I think that's, like, it happens to all of us. And I'm not telling you it's all like sunshine and roses and I'm like happy every day doing all aspects of, like, the shipping thing is hard, but it's like, this is part of the job, like, finish the deal. Like, and so I think, but attitude is a deal maker or a deal breaker. And I think that's really kind of the secret to success, to prevent from feeling overwhelmed, as well as to know the time invested it takes to pack up your respective items, right? So like, it could be an easy shipping week, or if I know I'm doing a lot of glass and ceramics, this is not going to be the quick paper, tape, and see ya. I mean, I don't know if I've sold it, but I pack for war, and I probably over bubble wrap.
Well, I think that you have to pack for war.
You do. Absolutely.
But you really do.
I know that there are a couple of questions. I think we can get through the questions pretty quickly, but I know Knickknacks and Kitty Cats is asking.
Knickknacks and Kitty Cats. You guys,
knickknacks and kitty cats. Is it true on YouTube that if a viewer were to watch a commercial and not skip them, that it better financially? I totally rephrase that question. Does it better financially benefit the channel? The question is yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. The ones that we make the most money on are actually the ones that you guys can skip, interestingly enough. They have ones that are at the beginning that are called bumper ads and at the end. Sometimes you can skip them, sometimes you can't. Typically, if you can't skip them, they're just like 10 seconds or less. Those are the ones that we are paid the least on. The ones that can be paid the most are the ones that you have the ability to skip. If, though, you watch them for 30 seconds, we get the full monetization value of it.
And I want to say though too, you might notice that there might be a few more ads in the videos lately, and that is because everyone's AdSense is down. So essentially, I'm doing the exact same amount of work and I'm making about 65% less than what I was last month. So imagine if you work a job and you're working your job and you have to keep doing those duties, and your boss comes in and says, well, we're going to pay you 65% less. So in order to compensate that a little bit, you might notice a few more ads in, because it helps compensate, because it's the bad time of year. You know, the ads, they're squirreling away their money again for fourth quarter. And so they're not putting out as much. They're not paying us as much, basically, for our ads.
Right.
So,
and
no, we don't get to pick our ads. We do not get to pick our ads.
And most time we don't pick the placement.
No.
YouTube automatically assigns the placement of them. We can adjust them. However, I do not touch ads that YouTube puts. Like if I hit monetize, it puts however many ads they're going to put in it, and then it puts that into wherever it is YouTube decides they're going to put it. I don't touch them.
Yeah.
Like,
I always feel like I'm gonna jinx it. Like they're gonna get mad at me for messing around
think you know better than me, huh?
But then sometimes you go back in there and check them though, and like if you have like a vintage rescue squad or a live sale, there's like ad, and I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of ads in there, but I don't want to take them out because I don't want to make YouTube mad.
It doesn't, but remember Alex said it doesn't matter.
I know, he did.
Like we can think that we're taking an ad out, but the only thing that we're doing is taking away our ability to get money from it, and YouTube may very well decide to still roll the ad.
Right.
We don't we don't get paid for it though. So
yes, Michael, do you have your own merch now?
well, I'll get there, but yes.
Someone's asking.
Okay. Well, let's do Lisa. Lisa says, do you all ask permission to video? Yes. Okay. And then I'll scroll down. Where are we at? Is it in capital letters?
No.
Oh.
I mean, I just saw it, so you might be
half empty. Yeah.
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I just got my hoodie and there it is. This is the men's stencil hoodie. I actually really like the way this fits. I am very happy with it. I got the premium long sleeve. I got the classic long sleeve. I got the classic tee. I got the classic pullover hoodie. I'm waiting on my all over print long sleeve sweatshirt and something else, but I got the stickers in there too. So yes, I do, as a matter of fact, and that is available on underneath any of my videos, so check it out. But that's also a benefit of being able to be monetized on YouTube and having 10,000 subscribers is that below the content creators videos you will see like a banner, and if they choose to, but they will have direct links to Teespring, which is partnered with YouTube, and at no cost to the content creator. I mean, there has to be, and Emma, Misty's daughter, designed the logo, and then you take that logo and then you can place it, select colors, styles, placement and all of that. So
Daphne got her sticker today.
you did get your sticker?
I didn't. And I am so mad.
Do you love it? Oh, Jamie got one too. It's a good sticker. Like, I was surprised. The sticker is huge. I was like, whoa, that's big. But yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys. I do appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah. But okay. See, now I got sidetracked. Jeez, talking about myself. Let's just go with this one. Do any of you review your chats after the fact? Sometimes, Pat.
What do you mean, review your chats?
After the fact. So if we have a live sale or if we have Vintage Rescue Squad, do we then go back and watch the chat? You don't?
I read comments, but I don't go back and look at the chat.
See, that's one thing that I kind of wished Instagram did, but I understand why Instagram doesn't. Because I think it's such a huge tool to know, especially on the popularity of an item, especially when we were only doing claims, because you could go back and see how many people would put in the number. And if like one or two people put in a number, then you're like, oh, it wasn't that popular. But if 20 people did, then you were like, ooh, maybe I should keep an eye out. Now that it's an auction, that helps. But on Vintage Rescue Squad, there have been times when we've talked about certain topics that I do go back and I do look at the chat because it's informative for us as resellers. It is. And I wish Instagram kind of did that though too, because I think that if you use it as a tool, that the chat, the bids, etc., and you're so busy talking or selling, you might be missing things that are of relevance. Maybe somebody's looking for something, or I wish you had that but in this color. So those are things, cues that you can go back and look at. But 100, oh yeah, Pat, oh yeah. So okay, Suzical is asking, we don't get paid if viewers have premium.
We do.
We do, yeah.
I have premium, and let me just tell you, it's the best thing ever because you don't have to see anybody's ads. You don't have to worry about skipping them. You just don't see them. There's no ads anywhere. But they still get paid for it. The content creator still gets paid for it.
So yes, Cindy is saying, so YouTube is taking 35% or more. They do. I think it's more like 33.
33. And anytime you send a super chat to somebody, YouTube is keeping 33% of that. So if you send a $5 super chat, then YouTube or Google is keeping 35% of that $5.
Okay, guys, I'm just scrolling back up to make sure I'm not missing anything. Yes, I agree, Kristen. Shipping ephemera and linen and brooches. Oh.
I love shipping anything I can wrap in my little tissue paper.
Girl, that's everything.
I will wrap everything in tissue paper. If someone buys like 5 things from me, one of those things will be wrapped in tissue paper. I mean, I'll put like bows around it all, but that just makes me happy. That's what makes shipping good for me. And that's why I need to continue to do it that way, because it makes me happy and it fulfills me. And if I'm getting happy when I'm shipping, then I'm going to want to keep doing. I'm going to want to keep shipping. And like,
that's why I put my confetti in, but I get chunky, big tissue confetti. So it's not annoying, but it's fun.
Yeah. But I switch out my tissue paper every week. So it's a different thing. So people that get something from me every week, it'll be they'll get it in a different way.
Now, ladies, we were talking about kind of like the behind the scenes thing. And I think that sometimes, and Misty and I have talked about this privately, of course, but there's always a sense of maybe because again, you are a business and and we were talking about that, a little bit before we came live, but there's always a sense of you never want to make people you don't want to come across as being stressed, at being overwhelmed, and you always put on a happy face and you always are smiling because you want to be engaging and you want people to have a good time while they're in the chat. But I think that sometimes there's just a lot of work that is going on behind the scenes, and that is in addition to Allison and I, we have other jobs, and not only do we have other jobs, but all of us have personal lives, and we
Not
all know
but I
that
do.
personal lives don't always go the way that we want them, and they can be, I hate to say it, but they can be disruptive to the fun stuff that we want to do, which is the selling. But sometimes the selling has to take a back seat because we have to take care of our personal. And I think that sometimes, and I don't want to be a naysayer, but I think what Allison, you were saying at the beginning, it really does speak to recognizing and understanding where you are, your station in life is at any given moment, and understanding what it is that you can and you can't commit to. And I just want to say that I so wholly and completely respect that, because I think that it's a demonstration of personal responsibility, but it's also a respect of the people that you want to then in turn support, not only you as a person, but most specifically as a business.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, do you ladies ever, like Misty, have you ever considered, has the thought popped into your head, because it has popped into mine, I'm not going to lie, about this would be so much easier if I wasn't doing a video and if I was just doing sales and I didn't do you know what I mean? I know that you
No.
like it, really.
No, I like it, but I think though that in order for you to have, I think in order for you to engage with your customer base, you need to, they need to see those other videos besides the sale.
Okay.
I think that that's just, I don't know. I mean, to me, they're fun. And I say this all the time. The day that it's not fun for me, I'm not going to do it. And not everybody wants to do the shop with me's, and I get that. But it doesn't have to be just a shop with me. It could be just you talking about, um, I bought, I don't know, this thing here, and we're gonna research it, and I'm gonna show you what I do to look stuff. I mean, it doesn't have to be just a shop with me. It could be, I'm gonna show you my cone doll collection. We're going to talk about these cone dolls that I got and where I mean, so I think it's just it's getting your customers to become familiar with you and feel a connection
Mhm.
with you in some aspect. And that just kind of, it makes the live sales a little bit more, they feel like they know you a little bit more. And I like that. I like that, the whole sense of community as part of the sales.
Is that something that you guys talk about in ISN? Because I don't think that that's necessarily something that, I don't know, because I think that that might be something easier, I guess, on Instagram is, you're taking photos, but you're not necessarily producing content outside of a photo. Do you know? Does that
I
make sense?
There's some people who will do a very quick snippet, make a reel with their shop with me, and I think
Okay.
I love those.
right.
And stories.
And I think the other conversation that's very interesting, because I feel like it's almost like it's just the unspoken, I feel like, as far as I actually put a poll out this summer when I found this amazing, someone was selling like their glass collection. And I guess my question is, do buyers really want to know what we paid for? Because I'm still going to be charging you a competitive rate to the comps. And I personally feel like there's close friends who I'll share, like, look what I scored for this amount of money. But that's one of the things I'm just going to have to self-reflect and come to accept, because I think sometimes, like, the profitability, sometimes there's a loss. But again, hopefully as we do this longer, we're not buying for a loss. We're buying only hopefully for gains. But I think sometimes people can become dismissive. Like, well, you only spent $8. Why are you charging me 40? So I'm torn myself. There's a lot of like this
Okay.
process about shop with me's, and like To be honest, Michael, I told you I watched, and I wish I watched more of your sales, but or your shop with me. But your shop with me, like for me, in my mind, I'm like, if I was to do this right now in this very moment of time, I don't know if I'd offer my shop with me before I sold the item, because I feel
Okay.
like, do I want someone to know what I spent? Like,
See, and I've gotten past that. I've gotten past that because, well, and I mean, quite honestly, a lot of times I'm paying up. I mean, I'm paying on average 25 to 35 to $40 on
sure.
things sometimes. So, and we always want to, we also always want to try to at least double our money at least. But I used to be like that. It used to really, 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 really bother me. But at the same time, it all comes back to, I know how hard I work. I know what kind of service I'm providing my customers. I know what kind of content I'm providing them. I know that I let the customers dictate what the price is, what the item's going to sell for. There have been many a times that I've bought or I've sold something for pretty much what I paid for it. But then there are other instances where it's gone for way more than what I ever could even think that was possible.
Right.
So I think that sometimes we get kind of caught in our head where we don't want to seem like we're taking advantage of people. And I think that that's kind of where that thought process comes from. Well, you bought it for $5, and well, if you just want to double your money, then you should just sell it for $10. But
Yeah.
it's worth more than $10. And I think that's where it all comes into your customer service. Like, I respect my customers enough because I know that they are paying really good prices for my items. So you better be darn sure that I'm going to do whatever it is I can to make sure they get that item in their hands as soon as possible and as safely as possible.
Well, you know what, Catherine? I'm sorry, Amy. I'll just.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Catherine is saying, I still show prices. I have had very few comments, but I am still small. I don't really see a lot of those. Knock on wood, but I haven't. Thankfully, I haven't seen those comments, and I'm sure that they're. I was just thinking. I. You know what? I will say this. I will say sometimes there might be more frustration when maybe two items go up for sale that are identical,
Yeah.
and one person sells that item for 2 to 3 times more maybe than what somebody else says it for. That, if we're picking up on that, what I'm putting down, I think sometimes that is more of the frustration than the people that are actually investing financially into the item are more frustrated about it, because like G is saying and Karen is saying, and so many of you, and I agree, because I'll do the same thing even as a buyer, knowing, and I hope that you got a good deal on it and that you're making a big profit on it. But I don't see that so much from the buyer's perspective as I do so much within the other sellers. Do you know what I mean? Because there can be, and I think that that's part and parcel to being a human being. So I want to make sure that I'm very clear on that. I'm not trying to be like shady, but we're all human beings and we all want to do the best. And that can be sometimes a tough pill to swallow when maybe we see the exact same thing go up and we're like, well, I didn't. But again, it's a choice. It's at the end of the day, it'll be how we end up handling it. I'm sorry, Amy. I totally
No, not at all. I think that one difference is that I don't feel like you guys have this faction of people in the YouTube specific community, but on Instagram there is a faction of people that shame other people for charging
making a profit.
They feel the autumn, making a profit. Let's just say that. So I think that
Other resellers shaming other resellers. Yeah.
And creating a mindset of it's wrong to do that.
And let me just take the time. Like, I see that happening a lot. And I've made this post on Instagram before. The second I see another seller, badmouth another seller publicly, this like negative, I am unfollowing you, I'm blocking you, I don't want that energy, I don't want that vibe. So I see that a lot, and as soon as I see it happening, block, deleted. I don't want it near me. That's toxic behavior that comes from a mean girl place, and poof, I don't want it. I don't want it around me. So I suggest, I mean, if you want to have a positive mindset moving forward, and if you see these people that are like bashing other businesses or talking low about somebody else, when they don't even know them as a person, I would just go, be done.
Yeah, if we block somebody, most likely it is not to be mean or ugly. It's because we don't want that energy in the community that we are presenting to our viewers.
Absolutely.
We're trying to protect the experience that you guys are all having. So, yeah.
Yep.
Well, you know what, Beth, but that, and here is the thing, and we can go, because what was that last week? It was we talked about that, but the whole TikTok thing that went viral. And look, and you know what, because we're on my channel, so I'm going to just come out with it. And this is the thing, I personally do think that there is a little bit of ownership, especially for those of us that are content creators that are filming, and we are providing a platform to help promote another business, whether it is a small business, as is our intention, to want to support and promote a smaller business to help them grow, thrive, and succeed, because that's part of the game. It also applies to big business. Now, we can agree, we can disagree as to what businesses do with their money. I don't know. But there is some ownership that we do have to, because it does enable a business to look at content, quite literally look at content and say, oh, these are the things that are of value. These are the things that we're going to pull out and we're going to put on our online shop because we can sell it at a premium.
Right.
These are the things that we're going to put on our shelves, and we're going to raise the prices because those things are going to sell at a premium. Now, look, we can argue all day long until the cow's done come home, had babies, and on to the grandkids about it. Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, it is a business at the end of the day, and they are there to generate money. Now, we can get into the weird gray area of they are actually pricing out the people that they are truly there to serve, which is an interesting topic. And quite frankly, as a reseller, if I don't want to go into Goodwill and spend $10 on something, then maybe somebody that literally has to shop there doesn't have that $10 to shop there. So Beth, I get it, but I guess it's in the way in which the situation is approached. If it's respectful and we can have a conversation, or if it's like this attack kind of mentality, then I get it. But
yeah.
Sorry,
Mikey, that's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just feel some kind of way about that thing. I do.
You're in retail, so you understand wholesale and marking things up. And I mean, when I was in retail, I think the rule of thumb was doubling the price and adding $2 or something. Right. So it's always that way. You're going to buy stuff. If you are an actual retail store, you're going to buy stuff for very little money and you're going to mark it up. And that's how you create a business and make a living.
Well, and sometimes if I'm out buying things and I'm, say I found something that I think that my viewers and my customers would really, really like and really enjoy, and I may pay up for it. I may pay, way up for it, but I know that it's something that I can still make some money on. I'm going to make my money back. I'm going to make a little bit of a profit on, may not double my money, but I know it's something that is going to be really, really loved by somebody. And that's kind of the beauty of having this community and building this community and having these buyers and kind of learning what they like. Is we can go out where I'm at in Indiana and find something that maybe somebody in Alabama doesn't see. And I may pay up for it a little bit, but it's something cool that I can bring and I want to show it to everybody.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it's fun. It's fun. Like I have paid over $100 for one item on several different occasions. And I didn't double my money, but I still made money, and it was still a great thing to bring to a sale.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's the thing though too, ladies. I mean, thank you, Tiffany. I really do appreciate that. Um, do you ever, I mean, I guess this is the thing, is like I struggle with that because I think that sometimes there is a little bit of pushback on the idea or concept of, well, you got that for 5 and you just sold it for 50. You got that for 5 and you just sold it for $120, which 100% has happened. And it's kind of like that concept. I mean, again, and I think that that's something that's so important to again remember is that you have to take and look at everybody's situation a little bit differently. And I think that there are a number of us that have gotten along so well personally and professionally because we approach the situation from the same thing. So we're seeing it in the same way, and that it's just, the vintage is there, and that was the instant connection. But then when it comes to the business, everybody's looking at it through the same lens. So, I mean, there are people that are doing it full time. There are people like Allison and I who, while we do have a full-time job, treat this as if it were a full-time job. I don't treat it as if it's just a hobby. I treat this like it is a business because to me it is. And then there's somebody maybe that does this part-time because they want a little extra pocket change and they're okay with selling stuff at a $5 and that's totally fine. But it goes back to the negativity. There's nothing wrong with any one of those situations, right? If you're comfortable being where you are in your station in life and you want, maybe this is just another way for you to go out and get more of the stuff that you want. That's fine. Maybe Allison wants to buy a house, so she's trying to find the best of the best and make that money. Same, sister. There's nothing wrong with that either, but there doesn't have to be a I'm right and you're wrong mentality.
It's very interesting because I feel like, again, I love that it is overall, I am speaking about the exception. Like as a whole, I love the community of sellers I found on Instagram because I truly believe the intention is to celebrate each other's successes and to be able to build each other up. And there's some live sales that you can both have a great sale. And there's sometimes where your items sell and your co-seller's items, for whatever reason, just did not. And I think there is there is intentionality that I think is crucial because you should be complimenting, to me, your co-seller and your co-seller style. And that's, I think, probably a little bit of the difference too between maybe YouTube and Instagram. Like I have a very diverse group of co-sellers. I only have one co-seller, Marcy from Vintage Bulldog. We have a sale twice a month, and we have very, 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 like, we're pretty much twinning, ESPNing. Like there's times we've had this exact same item and didn't realize it. And both of us thought this NAPCO Christmas salt and pepper shaker, never seen it. And here I have it. And then, she has it too. But I think that there truly is a celebration of success for other sellers. And I have a desire to see other people succeed too. Like, I think that's the other part. I think, like, Michael, you and I, that was the first time I've sold with someone bought someone who I knew to go shopping in Pennsylvania. And I was like, this is going to be a little different. Like, selling together is one thing. Buying together is a different story.
You've never done that, but see, that's you know what I mean? So for me, it's like, well, whoever sees it gets it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, and it was totally chill.
See, people, I get those comments a lot, like when Jeffrey and I go shopping together. And so they're like, you shouldn't go shopping with another reseller. And I'm like, yeah, you should. You absolutely should. It's fun.
Absolutely. And I think that, but I do believe, what is the expression that comparison is the thief of all joy, right? So I feel like that can be the biggest challenge. Like I truly believe that my story is only my story. And, my growth, I can only take responsibility, good and bad, for it. And at the end of the day, like, you are, you know, the company you keep. So it again needs to be intentional about who you choose to sell with. But I am just grateful for every little baby step, whatever
Yeah.
that looks like. So I think that it's just truly, again, but that I think shows, right? Like we do tell a story by the items we're showing, the items we're selling, the people we're selling with. But like Misty, like you said earlier, like I really don't have, I feel bad for people who there's, but we are very similar people. Like we all have, like we're old souls, right? Like there's not a lot of people who completely get this vintage buying, vintage selling thing. Like not until I started selling on Instagram does my family now get it. Like they thought the longest
Right.
time, like, what are you doing? Like, so it is, you know, we're all people and we all have our story. And the long and the short is I'm very happy that there is this community. And again, you just have to be discerning about who you let share that space.
Well, I had to block a commenter on YouTube because it's like every time I know, every time I would go shopping with another reseller, they were constantly, why are you shopping with somebody else? That doesn't make any sense. They're getting the things before you are. You're getting the things before they are. And I just got so sick of listening to it. And I tried to reason with them. I tried to say, no, this is fine. And they kept rebuttal. And I'm like, I don't have time to argue with you. You're gone. You can't bug me anymore. Goodbye.
Well, look, I don't think that anybody would come as a huge surprise to. Of course, there are those people out there that's exactly how they're going to roll and operate, and they've got to be the first and get the most, and buy, and well, whatever for everybody else. Of course, there are, you know, that of course there are, but by and large, most of them. I mean, I had a great time when we went to Ohio. There was none of that conflict. But again, that's because everybody was there, as Allison was saying, to uplift one another. And if I saw something and I'm like, that's more Misty's vibe, I'm like, Misty, did you see this? Same thing. Misty's like, oh, this is more Michael's vibe. Michael, did you see this? And that's just how you do it. You can't buy it all. I mean, you could, but then what are you
And
going to do?
I love seeing Michael find something really, really cool. Like when I shop with Jeffrey, I love it when he finds the lucite candles. I may be like,
Mhm.
Jeffrey, no, but I'm happy for him that he found the lucite candles before me. You know,
Yeah.
that's just the way it is. It can be a fun. There isn't anything wrong with friendly competition.
Mm-mm.
It's
Mm-mm.
friendly
No.
competition.
But
I want
that's
to.
the other thing though too is you because you're celebrating their success as a business, and that business is what pays their bills and allows them to continue to do what it is that they love. So you're celebrating their successes with them. And it sounds stupid because it's like, well, you could have had that money, but again, you don't know what's right around the corner that you're going to find.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Mhm.
true. Um, I wanted to. I had seen someone, and this is kind of something that Michael. Well, we've been talking about this, but someone had said I would like to ask about buyers who are overbidding on items in the auction in a very greedy way on every single item that comes up. Is that
Oh,
fair?
oh, okay.
And I want
Okay.
to say Jay answered it. Jay answered it very well. Jay said, it absolutely is fair. There is no greedy auction buyer. If they want it and they're willing to pay for it, then that's their full right and the nature of the free market to buy. So what I want to say to that is what as a seller,
Okay.
am I supposed to be like, I'm sorry, very good buyer who pays right away. You cannot come to the sale anymore because you're being greedy. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not. He's following the rules, or a buyer, they are following the rules.
Well,
What are
I
you supposed
mean,
to do?
it's an odd concept to me though, because if we want to look at it from a greedy standpoint, I mean, honestly, that's what consumerism is nothing but greed. Consumerism is nothing but I want, therefore I'm going to buy. We're not selling as much as sometimes some pieces may mean to us, or the feeling or the memories in which they may evoke
Yes.
from us. At the end of the day, it's not a life-saving thing. At the end of the day, I would hope that um, those last moments aren't going to be filled with regret that, oh, I missed out on that Weller vase. The things that we will regret are the relationships, the friendships that we didn't have. All of the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and not the
Yes.
things that we didn't have. Now, don't get me wrong, we're making a business out of selling the things at the end of the day that nobody really needs, but everybody really wants. But when it comes down to not getting a physical item and then assigning an opinion as a fact onto somebody else that at the end of the day, just as Jay says, has the money and wants to pay for it and pays for it, there's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, that's what we all do. That's what when I go into the grocery store, when I go to the clothing store, if there's something I want and there's two and I really want both, I don't think about the person behind me because that person behind me might really want that too. No, I'm gonna get them both. I mean, if we're really truly factual and honest with ourselves in our everyday lives, are we really though thinking about the
Yeah,
person?
but doing this a couple straight claims, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. When we do a lot of straight claim items, we get so many people that will send me emails. I can never get anything because the internet, or so and so has the best internet. So and so gets everything because they have the fastest internet. It's like we're damned if we do and damned if we don't. So we've tried to adjust the sales to make them as fair as we possibly can by doing the just in cases, by doing the countdowns from 15, by, doing, we
Holding
do
up our fingers, like the whole,
holding up our fingers, trying to make it as much as accessible as we can. And on our Tuesday sales at Michael and I, we do a lot of straight claim items as well. But with four of us selling 10 things, that's just not the vibe of that sale.
yeah.
Well, I have that going on with my, I have a handful of super fans that
yes.
collect my dolls, and some people feel some kind of way. And sometimes those super fans feel guilty or uncomfortable because they think everyone hates them. And the sale that I have with Cole on Fridays, we're only bringing 5 items plus the item we created. And even just this past week, someone got 3 of the items, but I still had a brand new customer get their first doll. And that usually happens every sale. Some brand new customer still manages to get their first doll. So there are going to be dolls that certain people like and aren't the vibe of others. And somehow you're going to end up, getting one. And these people are not collecting to be mean or vicious or greedy. They just find so much joy in them.
Right.
So they collect them.
Right.
And honestly, it isn't anybody's business what people do with the items after they buy them or why they are buying them. If they want to resell them, fine. If they want to
If
collect
you
them,
want to take it and
fine.
smash it against the wall and you paid me for it, it ain't my business. I don't care what you're going to do with it.
I mean,
I don't care. It's not, it's your money. It's your money.
Well, now, if it's one of my creations, I will say those are my children. And I do
Amy's
have
like,
a little
just
piece
give
of my
me,
soul in there.
Right. Yeah.
So I
I'll
did
give
have
you the money
smash
back. Let's
Amy's
send it
doll.
back.
I did have one buyer who's no longer around, but I mean, she's here, but not here. You know what I'm saying? And she posted a picture of, look at all of my Amy dolls. And they were all just thrown in this giant tub. And I was like heartbroken looking at this. I'm like, no, my babies.
My baby.
I'm just going to offer what Mid-Century Wasted commented on. I think the difference between, like, we can have an item we really wanted on eBay and we can get those like last second bids in and we didn't win. but we don't have the personal connection. We don't necessarily know who won it. So
Right.
I think that on every side of the coin, like most of it's positive, but to the negative, we can recognize, with eBay, what is it, like the last 2 or 3 like letters or numbers of their ID that you see is the winner. So I think that is part of that community. It can become, we can monitor trends like this person's always winning or this person's already always bidding. So yeah.
So, and you know what, Diane, honey, that's exactly what it's about. Because Diane made a choice to have fun. She's laughing. You know what I mean? Why not celebrate somebody else having a good time? Why not?
Listen, he is a very nice man who knows what he is buying. He knows what he's buying. He
But
knows.
you know what? This is kind of okay, but and I'm gonna say this really quickly, and I think that this is the point: is that I'm gonna be honest, like I'm like that close to getting to that point, because what we're doing at this point is that we're making somebody feel uncomfortable. Even though we up here as sellers are saying that it's okay, the fact that we're even having this conversation, I think, is completely and utterly shameful. And I want to impress upon everybody watching now or in the replay. And if you want to come to one of my sales and you want to buy every single item from me, you have my utmost appreciation and thanks. Please do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to also say this on my channel. And I will re-echo what Misty said. If anybody were to come into my sale and shame somebody for doing what it is that they want to do with their money, and we want to get butthurt because somebody else got a few more dollars in their pocket, don't come to my sale. It's one thing, and I see some comments saying it's not as much fun, and I respect, because you are being respectful, and I appreciate that. I do. I'm not delegitimizing that. I get it. I feel you. I'm receiving that. And Misty and I are working on new ways in which to kind of help everybody out. Respect, but do not come to my cell, my channel, and shame somebody and disrespect somebody. It's not going to be taught, because you are disrespecting me.
Mm-hmm.
I invited every single person down there in the chat, and that would go for any of you. If any of you bought everything, and I would say the same thing to anybody saying something negative about you. It's not just because it's that person, it's because I invited you here to this channel. And I want each of you to know that you have my respect for your support. So therefore, I need to support you.
And there are lots of other sales out there that you can go to.
Or you can go get your own.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's only, let's say 20 items at said sale, and there might be 300 people at that sale.
Mm-hmm.
There's not 300 items to go around. And that's another reason why I tell people, you don't feel like you have to buy. Be there for the experience, for the camaraderie, for the community, for the nostalgia, for the joy. It's not only about buying. So if you're not able to get an item, I'm hoping that you will enjoy the experience and be there as an event.
And I think that that's a really good point too, Amy, that you bring up, is if you are having a live sale, you want your live sales to be fun and uplifting, and you need to have certain things in place for that to happen. You need to make sure that people can see you very clearly, that you're sitting in a well-lit spot. You can get a ring light on Amazon for less than $30. You can get an external webcam for less than $40. You can use your cell phone if you're going on YouTube. If you're using StreamYard, especially, it is very difficult because StreamYard can be very glitchy. So you need to make sure, you need to make sure that if you are living in an area that you haven't, like your Wi-Fi is like a little like, or I've got a teenage son that's on Wi-Fi gaming and all that kind of stuff all the time. reinvest some of the money that you're making in your sales to get equipment. If you're going to resell, and this is what you're going to do to earn a living, or even to have a side hustle, you need to make sure that you have the equipment. You don't have to go and spend hundreds of dollars. Maybe even you just have a sale during the day and you're sitting in front of your window where the natural light is coming in. And make sure that you've got a clean background. Like I've said this before, my house is not very clean right now, but this wall,
Right.
that's clean right there. That, no. Over there, no. But right here, so think about those things before you have a live sale.
I was going to offer just to, as far as, because the reality is most of us are sellers and buyers, but I would just encourage that person who may feel discouraged. I think, again, attitude is everything. They're having a temper tantrum that they win. I don't really have any interest in having you back. However, if you had your heart set on it and it just didn't work out to your favor, that you're just in case is slightly less than somebody else's, I would just encourage you to establish a relationship with that seller. Like I always tell my viewers, let me know if you are looking for that. I love being like a personal headhunter. And so I also, for some viewers, they can't attend a live, but they really want an item. So I've started taking proxy bids where they tell me this is my best and high bid. And then I start the item at that price. So then kind of like Amy was saying earlier, like the bidding starting at this because I already have a silent bid for X. So I think it's, again, establishing a relationship with the seller and just finding out like, how can we, because we do want this to be symbiotic and like work for both parties. So.
Well, can we, and maybe I'm wrong, and please correct me if I am, but I thought, Amy, you are pretty much credited with the implementation or the concept of just in case in the
I don't
IMC.
No, I think that Allison and Marcy were doing that before me.
Allison and Marcy, you guys were?
I don't think that we can take credit for either. I don't know where we saw it originally, but we recognized it was something that was beneficial because the lags varied for different people. So it just allowed that cushion. But to be honest, like for most of my recent sales, my co-sell, I have a bias one way or the other. I see benefits and negatives on both sides of the coin as far as the just in case. So
Can you speak on that?
Can I speak to that?
What do you think some of what do you as a reseller, what are you seeing the benefits and what are you seeing the drawback? And let's be honest, as a reseller, what do you see the benefit being and the con being of a just in case?
So for myself, and again, this is just my experience, but when there is no just in case, I do not believe people put out their best and final offer. I think they typically are still doing $1 or a couple dollar incremental bids. Mm-hmm. They are not putting their best offer typically before the countdown is over, when we do not do just in case. The negative of just in case can be that, and again, like I commend the people who learn the lag. Like for myself, if you're watching a live sale, it takes a couple items to kind of figure out the countdown.
Yeah.
But you can learn how many seconds you can put your last bid in and get your bid in hopefully right before the bid ends. Because the reality is like you don't want to bid an item up too early because it depends on who else is there. Like some people might even say, I'm out, I'm not going any higher. But what can be negative for, I think, because again, like I want to be a buyer seller. That's truly one of my goals because I was a buyer first, and there's some sellers we just like better, right? Because they really try to make it work for both of us. Yes. So the just in case, learn the lag. There's people who will learn the lag and they will put this very high ceiling for their just in case, very last minute. And the challenge can be like for myself, the blessing, and we all get to make our own rules. I do not have, like, to be honest, I've shared this with you guys before. My spirit animal is a squirrel. I can't keep track if you bid in the early, like the back and forth or not. So to keep track of like, did you bid earlier? Like the just in case is.
I can't either. Yeah.
You can't hear me?
No, she can't. Amy said I can't either.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think
Yeah,
any of us
I agree with you.
I don't think any of us can.
Yes.
And that's why we try to say, we can't, we're not the police. We can't.
So I encourage people, like, let people know that you're interested. But the reality is, like, let's say I'm multitasking coming in and they're doing a countdown and I really want this Miss Priss. I'm going to put out, and maybe I don't even know what the dollar is at. And I'm going to put in my just in case, and I can look like a sniper. I mean, that's what we call it when someone's coming under that last minute bid.
Yeah. Pew, 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 pew.
But so that can be, some people do believe, and I do think it's best practice that you put a bid in before that final countdown. And that can really upset someone who doesn't realize that there was another heavy hitter who's involved and present. For Instagram, the good thing is you can now click to see all of the viewers in that sale. So you can see who else is there. And if you know certain people are there, you might be working with a different mindset. But nonetheless, the other part is, I think just in case typically works better for most of the time. I don't want to be a betting woman right now. Sometimes it works better for the seller because there's two people who are going to put their best offer and it really raised the price. Sometimes what can happen is, if I'm doing the final countdown and someone puts a high ceiling just in case early in my countdown, let's say they're going to say I'm going to spend $100 for Miss Priss, but I was only at 48. Someone knows, like, I'm not spending 101, so the bidding stops.
Yeah.
So there's pros and cons.
Yeah. Well, and there has been times when someone has thrown up, like, let's say $100 just in case, but right before that, else put $103 just in case. And then that person that had the $100 just in case, that put the 103 is going to pay up for that thing. So it can be, that's why we try to say, be very careful.
Yeah.
Because it has happened before that people had to pay more than what they thought they would because they were over putting in there just in case. And
one of my new super fans, she
always
was very new and didn't understand. And so she's like, well, I'm just, in her mind, going to put in a just in case of 500 because I really want this. So whatever it is. And then the person that had been bidding against her the whole time was just like,
same.
Just in case.
Yeah.
So she learned, and I felt like, oh my God, is she never going to come back? But then she put in a just in case of 200 on the next thing. Like, she's like, okay, fair enough. I get it. I got to be serious with these high just in cases.
Once they start getting the hang of it, it really is a good thing. And I guess I don't understand why a buyer would not like just in case. Because a lot of the times, if I didn't do just in case and I was just doing straight bids, I would be making more money.
More money.
I could be making more money if I was not doing just in case bids.
Because, and this is, I'll just say this, Kat, whenever we have a sale, and I could probably pretty much say for any reseller, if you think that you're going to attend a reseller sale, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram, and you send that seller your information ahead of the sale, I bet just about every single reseller is for it because I'm like, okay, this girl's serious. Hey, Kat, you know what I mean? Like, don't always, if it's in you to do it, do it. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. That's like the thing with eBay. That's why I am like completely and utterly at a loss for it because if we didn't, I'm just going to come out with it. If we didn't use just in case, we are essentially telling you guys you have to throw down as much as you want it because that's the thing. Look at Ariana's sale, and me and Misty were going at it, right? And we had to, and I'm not being shady, but that's the thing. We had to, because I'm like, I know it's Misty, so she's throwing down $20 and $40 price increments, and then I throw down a $60 price increment.
Because there wasn't just in case.
And and we are just battling it out, and I have nothing to go on. So I'm like, because I'm one of those ones that'll try to wait till the last second, like Allison, because I'm trying to figure out the lag. Waiting for everybody, and then I can throw a just in case in, and guess what? But then as a reseller, I'm losing out on the money And as a buyer, you're only paying $1 more rather than being $50 or $60.
Yeah,
Like
because we
it
were
blows my mind.
we were over $200 on salt and pepper shakers. We were duking it out for. I mean, granted, they were mermaids, but we were like duking it out. There wasn't a just in case, so there wasn't a time. So we were just the price kept going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. There, but if there was a just in case, then during the countdown, then I might have thrown out $75 just in case, and then Michael probably would have thrown out $100 just in case, and he would have got the mermaids for $78 instead of two. How much did you end up paying for those, Michael?
I don't even remember. No, because the lady,
A
some
hundred and something.
the lady committed to 201. I was like, out.
Yeah. So when I hear right, so I do hear rumblings. We do hear rumblings when people are like, I don't like just in case. I just don't like the just in case. Because I know Jeffrey did his poll. He told me he was gonna do it. And I read all the comments and stuff that was on his poll, and people were like, I don't like just in case. But I'm like, why? Because you could get things for cheaper. I don't understand why you don't like the just in case, but I think it's kind of a hard concept because it can get kind of confusing. But once you catch on, and I'm not good with numbers, but once you catch on, you can it's really easier to catch on to.
Oh yeah, remember when we did the
$5
$5 increments?
Oh, I don't do that anymore.
Did you guys do that on Instagram? Once the price reached a certain what was it, like 50?
Once
We
it
would just go to
reaches 50, and I'm like,
$5.
no,
Yeah.
we're not doing that anymore.
For me, the just in case allows us to move the sale along faster.
Faster.
So we're not spending 3 and 4 hours on a live sale anymore. We can get it done in an hour and a half too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just move it along, drop. And I always tell people, do it now. Do not wait until I start counting. This is the time, because otherwise it's going to come in after the bid end. And I give them that little window of time before I even start counting. Just drop it now.
Really, the just in cases do not drive the price up. They do not drive
It's just
the price
like
up.
eBay. I don't know why people are
going up
so
by
up in arms
$1.
over it. It's just like
I don't either. It's just I don't understand why it's such a hard why it is viewed as such an evil
You
thing.
know why though? Because this is the truth, and I'm just gonna say it. Because I think sometimes you guys and I don't understand why if I'm telling you as a reseller that I stand a better chance on losing money if I'm using it just in case, somebody's like, I don't like it. And I'm thinking, I'm like, is it that you don't like it or you think that you don't like it because you've been told it's a bad thing? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So sometimes your best advice is maybe to try something before you decide you don't like it based on the opinion of somebody else, especially if that somebody else happens to be a reseller.
Right.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Just saying.
And I will say that maybe buyers feel like they don't like just in case because it forces them to realize that they're out sooner, because if someone drops a just in case that is way over their threshold of what they plan to spend, then that's irritating.
Well, I think
Agreed,
sometimes
but
they
you'd have
don't
been out anyhow, so it's best that you know before.
That's what I'm saying, but maybe that's why they don't like it, because it's like so-and-so dropped it just in case of 150, so I know I can't have it now. You know, but really you would have been outbid in the end because they would have gone up to that, and we just saved a bunch of time.
a bunch of time.
Yeah,
a bunch of time. So here's the thing though, not every sale is going to implement just in case, and that has to be respected at that sale. You know, and sometimes I know on Instagram's sales, sometimes Instagram sellers will just be like, we're not going to do just in case tonight.
Yeah.
And sometimes they will. So it may change from week to week. And I guess the bottom line is, just as a buyer or as a viewer of the sale, just respect that sales policy. We're all different businesses and we're all going to run things different. You know, if I don't feel comfortable with it, I'm not going to do it.
There you go, Daniel. And I think that this is part of the thing, and I think that maybe this is something we can talk about. And I think this is maybe something that a lot of people that are resellers or content creators or Instagram influencers or sellers is that sometimes it can feel like, one person
You have to
makes a
keep up with the
comment and
Joneses.
do what?
That you have to keep up with the Joneses.
No, that it's not that. I think sometimes people think, well, I'm just going to leave this one comment, right? I'm just one person. It's just my opinion, and that is true. But one person plus one person is two, and two plus two is four, and four plus four is eight, and eight plus. So it starts to compile. And sometimes when you think that you're trying to do the best for as many people as you can, and you read a lot of comments that are saying, well, I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it, you start to kind of be like, what am I
Yeah.
doing?
What am I doing wrong?
You start to question, wait, what? Am I doing the right thing? I thought I was trying to help people, but I'm seeing all this resistance. And I think that sometimes that's also something that a lot of content creators or sellers don't necessarily talk about is that, again, we have choices to make, and I think that sometimes it's important to remember that we are one person, but we are one person within a community. So, I don't know.
And at the end of the day, we're not going to make everyone happy. We can't, right? There's a lot of different, you know, it's a great thing, right? We all have a different perspective in what we're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
We're going to do our best to try to satisfy the majority. And, sometimes we miss the mark, and sometimes the goal is to, of course, always make the mark. But
Yeah.
yeah. We have lately on Instagram for a lot of my co-sellers, we've put it as a quick poll at the very beginning of our sale. So that's how we've decided, because we truly are kind of indifferent. So for those of them who sign in early, they kind of get to speak up and say yes or no. So, and my sale last night, we did rock, scissors, paper. That's what we decided if we're doing.
Oh,
So it's really one of those things that I truly see, I don't have a strong allegiance one way or the other. So,
Yeah.
You got to do what makes the most sense for your shop.
I like the just in case.
I do too.
I think that it's the fairest thing to do in most cases. Now, that being said, sure, there are going to be some times when it maybe isn't, but that is way far and few in between, in my opinion. It does.
As a buyer, I feel like I have more of a chance because I don't know if anybody else is going to put in a just in case or what their just in case is going to be. And so maybe I might get it, and then I like it. It's just like eBay. I don't know why people are so up in arms. It's just like you go on eBay and you put in how much you're willing to pay, and then you see what happens.
and then you got to stand there, refresh. If it's something you really want, you're standing there, especially the mobile app, just watching it, waiting it.
I do it at 8 seconds. I'm going to do it at 8 seconds. I'm going to drop my next.
Yeah, or if it's a sale, like the auction's going to be over at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're like, I got to set my alarm because this auction's going to go 3 o'clock in the morning.
And there is nothing where, and that is the thing. And again, we're not just sellers, we're buyers though too. And there is nothing, especially when you're on eBay and you threw in a bid and maybe you got distracted by life.
Yes, I do.
And you forgot it was ending. And then you saw somebody else won it. And not only did they win it, but what did they win it by?
$1.
$1.
They won by $1.
$1.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess at the end of the day, what I think that what we're trying to say to everybody is, if you are going to sales, which we all do, just understand that some sales will use the just in case and some sales won't use the just in case. And I know sometimes if you're at a sale and they don't use just in case, but yet you go to other sales and they do use just in case, I get it. It's like, you don't know when the countdown's starting in, you're like, well, I don't know if they do just in case or not. So you're going to throw in a just in case. If somebody does that, just be kind to them in the comment. If you are the seller or if you are they just don't be like, no, just in case is that right. You bad lady. But don't. don't be like that. Just be like, no just in cases today. Or not here. So I get it that it can be confusing when you're going from sale to sale to sale, and every sale is doing it a little bit differently. But maybe if you just come in the sale, and like you come in and you're in the middle of the sale, maybe you just say, are there just in cases? And then everybody will tell you no or yes.
Well, but see, that's the unfortunate thing is that even in real life, and I think that's the thing though too is, and that is something that I've told Misty is I said, unfortunately, that just kind of seems to be the world that we live in. And I think that, we forget about it because, we all love this vintage and why is there a need for screaming and hollering when there's vintage? Right? And that's just because people are people at the end of the day. And sometimes, especially through social media, it does take a little bit longer to get to know one another. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just a sad reality of the world that we're currently living in. That said, that is why it is so important to a lot of the resellers, the ladies and myself that you're seeing, that we do create and cultivate a very kind, understanding environment. And we welcome everybody there, whether you buy one thing, whether you buy all the things, or whether you buy nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's important that you feel respected and appreciated.
Yeah.
First and foremost, irregardless.
Yep.
Bottom line.
Yep.
But we also like to feel that way though too. You see, but I think the conversation that we're having is it's a two-way street,
Yeah.
Everybody wants to feel recognized and appreciated. And it's like in those times, and I think that a lot of times it is easier to focus on those moments because they do stand out and they're so glaring. But we also have to put into perspective, as Sarah said earlier, they stand out for a reason because they are so few and far in between.
They
So,
are.
and that is something because the vast majority of people here are very loving, kind, and supportive.
Absolutely.
I mean, a lot of you have gone out of your way to help one another, and that is not lost on us either, to reach out to one another. And that's an
And I
incredible
see
thing.
Stephanie said set a timer. I've done that before. Let me just tell you, I have tried every possible way to ever have done a live sale. I've tried. I used to say the first person to email me will get it. I've done it every way, and the way that we're doing it now seems to be the most effective way and fair way.
Yeah. And a timer or a countdown, there's still a lag, and
still
it's
a lag.
the same thing really.
Yeah. And it's a crazy lag too, because
I used to hold up a little timer like this.
Oh my gosh.
Do you remember that?
That's right. You did.
Here's my little timer. All the things we do, we just try everything. We would try everything. And this seems to be the way that works the best, at least for us. At least for us. Yeah. There's no right or wrong. Yeah. Well, I mean, there is right or wrong, but it depends on who you ask, I guess.
And I wanted to acknowledge Dusted Finds because I get that and I feel that. And that's one of the reasons why I started my talk show on Mondays, The Vintage Dish, so that I could, number one, humanize our viewers.
Is that the comment, Amy?
Yes.
Yes.
So I could humanize our viewers and we can get to know them on a deeper, more personal level because we are all so much more than a screen name. And that was first and foremost. I've expanded now to invite other sellers and artists and musicians and other people because not every viewer is comfortable being on screen. But if you are, I want you to have that time on screen alongside me. And then I gift my guest a doll. So if there are any of you guys out there that would like to be on screen and talk about your passions and show us your collection, and maybe you can't afford a doll, be my guest on The Vintage Dish and let us get to know you and you'll get gifted. So that's my way of giving back to my my buyers, my viewers, my co-workers, my friends, people that I say, hey, I really love what they're doing. I want to bring them on the show and let other people see what they're doing and support them. So anyway.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
No.
I mean, like, if you guys actually, like, and I mean, I think that as you watch Amy's content more and more, you'll certainly come to understand that that's just who that woman is. So, I mean, yeah, I know. Y'all are just saying that's so sweet, and that's who she is.
If I didn't have to pay my bills, it would just all be like gift gifts, honestly. But I'm in a position now where this is my full-time job, and since my husband can't work,
Yep.
It's become a major source of taking care of us and my family in Georgia. So yeah, so I'm grateful. I'm very, very grateful and blessed for all the support you guys have given me.
We all are. We all are. Well, this has definitely been a roller coaster tonight, hasn't it?
Well, we wanted it to be that way. I mean, we always feel like we want these Monday night shows to be where everybody can be open and honest. And that goes for, buyers too. If a buyer's like, I don't understand this just in case thing, or I don't understand, this is the time to just come out and get and talk about it, where there isn't any, like, no one's gonna get mad, it's an open forum.
Mm-hmm.
It's an open forum, because I think sometimes we get so caught up in just doing things the day to day, the grind. We're just doing the grind. We're doing the grind. We're selling the stuff. Oh, we're getting the comments. Oh my gosh, we're getting that comments. But sometimes it's good to have a place to fully understand maybe why that comment was said, or maybe we missed something and we need to understand something a little bit more. So we wanted these shows to be an open forum.
Yeah.
On a various different topics. It doesn't always have to be live sales. It's just in general. In general.
And that's too, and I guess I want to impress that upon everybody though too. And I get it. And it's sometimes when maybe I say something, Misty says something, one of the guests says something, or there's a consensus among us, is that sometimes it might feel like, oh, are they talking about me? We never are necessarily pointed about it. And at the end of the day, and I think everybody's been very gracious that we've had on up until this point, is that it's just our opinion. We don't assign the idea of something being right or something being wrong. We may be very passionate about certain things. And don't get me wrong, there is a right and wrong about treating people with respect, of course. But so far as like the way in which we conduct this, the just in case, do you know what I mean? We're not saying we're right.
No,
Right.
no,
Nor
God.
because that means somebody else has to be wrong.
Right.
You're not wrong because you don't want to use it, right? We're not right because we do. So I do want to impress that upon everybody, and we do value your opinions, even when they are opposing. If they're presented in
How we
respect,
learn.
absolutely. And maybe in that conversation we get to know one another and we can grow to respect one another a little bit more because we're being open and honest with one another, because communication, especially in maturity, is very important. It is.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you, Fred. Look at that. Great minds think alike. I wasn't reading your comment.
Aloha, Freddie. Aloha.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's right, Steph. And sometimes you just got to try to figure it out in the moment and you go with it, right?
Yeah, because sometimes that's happened for all of us. I think like something will go wrong in live and you're like,
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Lucinda, and that's absolutely the right thing. And I would say this though too, is that for all of whether you are a reseller, whether you want to become a reseller, or maybe you just dream about being a reseller. At the end of the day, all of the information is out there for free, whether you're choosing to engage on YouTube or Instagram, a combination of both, perhaps on Twitter or Facebook. All of the information out there is there for you to learn, see what you like, see what you don't like. But at the end of the day, you know whose business it is yours and only yours, right? You have to do what is going to work for you as a business and as a human being first and foremost, and everything else will fall into line. Because if you're steady trying to please everybody else, guess what? It's going to fall apart.
Mhm.
That I can tell you with complete and utter certainty. You have to put yourself first so that everything else will become secondary and everything else will fall in line. I promise you that.
Can I address Gina's comment? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Misty.
Oh, go ahead.
Gina, sometimes it's about supporting the seller. Some of our buyers just want to support our small business. So stuff gets bid up because they're contributing to supporting our small business. So that's why that happens sometimes.
And sometimes people are just super competitive. I'm like, you're not going to beat me.
Listen, I want to say this again. And that's, I mean, if you see Michael or Misty or Amy or Allison or another one of your content creators that you enjoy and they are bidding on something, do not stop bidding because that person is bidding. You outbid me. And if I see you say, oh, I'm not bidding because Misty's, I will say, you keep bidding right now. Because I'll keep bidding against you too. You know what I mean? Until I get to where my stopping. That isn't fair to the seller that's having that's selling the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, that's why Michael and I, we weren't stopping. I was like, I'm beating you, and I didn't beat him.
And then some other lady done come in here. I was like, who are you? Who are you?
But I think the other part about that statement too is that the value or worth may very well be geographically as well as personally.
Right.
I mean, maybe the person doesn't have access, or maybe they choose not to use eBay or another platform. So I don't take away again your perspective, but I think that there's things I know I've spent more than I needed to, but in the moment there was some kind of connection or something that there was a time sensitivity for that item, like
sentimental.
So yeah, so the story is all different for everybody. And that's what I always will tell people for new sellers. Like sometimes for myself, like I have 4 measurements for success for a sale, and number of followers is one of them. But it doesn't have to be like your strongest indicator, because you only need 2 people who have the same taste at the same time. And the reality is, just like Michael said, you're competitive, you want it now, it's available. Like Amy said, you might have a relationship already with a seller. So there's so many variables, and I would far prefer, to be honest, to buy from someone I know on Instagram or YouTube versus buying from eBay. That's the other component to it. So absolutely, value is completely subjective in my opinion.
Amen. And I like that. I think Ariana summed it up perfectly. We all do. We all buy things that have zero intrinsic value to it, yet it means something to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I could sit and look around my house,
right,
and see all kinds of things that doesn't mean a lot to other people, but they mean a lot to me.
That's what collecting is, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's fun. That's what it means. It's fun. It's harmless fun. You're not hurting anybody with it. You're just getting something, you're putting it on your shelf, and you're like, complete, on to the next. Right?
On to the next, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I will say though, I've seen a couple comments, and it was, why do some people, I can't remember, I don't understand. I don't know. I don't probably won't have time to find it, but I don't, and I cannot conform my words right now.
Okay.
So
Well, in the meantime, Beth is asking how she finds sellers on Instagram. Well, Beth, to start you off, I can think of two great Instagram sellers, Allison and Amy here, keeping in mind that their links are right down in the description box. Is all you have to do is it'll say Allison Instagram. That'll take you directly to Allison's Instagram page. You just hit follow. You can hit Amy's Instagram and YouTube, as a matter of fact. Hit follow and subscribe. And then if you're on Instagram, is all you have to do is go into search and type in ISN member item.
Mhm.
You're going to be open to a whole new world of sellers.
ISN live sale is the other one too, Michael. For like if you're interested in the live sale version of Instagram, ISN live sales is your other hashtag.
Yeah.
The hashtag is like your master search component in Instagram, and you'll find amazing. It's like a deep hole. Be ready for the slippery slide and the rabbit hole that it's all a good thing, but it's just
I mean, if I'm scrolling on it, like at any given time, I'll be on Instagram and I'll see like little circles that are colorful and moving and doing things. Someone's live, having a live sale right then and there. If you can't sleep at night, I mean,
Lord, you'll be up till noon.
you will be.
You get into that, you start searching them hashtags. Oh, forget. It's anything and everything. And you're like, wait, all of this stuff is for sale? Yeah. Yeah.
for sale.
Yep.
Mhm.
Just make sure you go to recent. I think there's top and then there's recent, and recent is the newest listed.
True that. True that.
Yeah, 4-eyed vintage was fun last night. We were a little nervous because of the SB that was playing. That we were like, we didn't know if we were going to get people or not, but we did. So, Sarah, I don't understand when a reseller talks about their horrible life on their live sale. Well, I think sometimes with that's just they need a friend. It's not something that I want to do, but maybe they need to get something out and they need the support of whomever is watching them. So that's going to be very off-putting for some people, and some people will turn it off. But some people really feel a connection and they feel like they want to, people are just kind of empaths and they have an empathic nature, and maybe that person just needs a little bit of someone to talk to. But just be very careful that you're buying what you want and you're not buying because you feel bad for a person.
Like Misty, you said earlier, I think that's also one of those things just to kind of, you don't have to follow them, right? Like if that's something that you're like, my intention when I sell is it's a safe and happy and fun place and vintage. Like,
yeah,
to make it very like, there's so many things going on in the world, and like it's sometimes you just need to disconnect. And I know for me, that's my therapy. So, my intentions for my own sales is to have a neutral, like, and sometimes people come and put comments in the chat that they've had a bad day. I will try to support and recognize that, but I would just encourage, like Misty said earlier, about who you're choosing to follow or unfollow or potentially even block. I sometimes the topic that you brought to the table, Michael, was how do you manage being overwhelmed? I personally don't know if I would buy from someone who is ranting about life, because that sounds like there's a lot going on and maybe vintage shouldn't be at the list right now. But at some point you have to be like, when do I don't know. Again, I'm not telling, this is one of those things. I'm not saying that person's wrong. It's not how I would encourage someone to run their business, but to just to be careful and mindful as a buyer or viewer.
Well, and you have to think about too, if everything kind of seems a little out there in the back of your mind, you have to think, am I going to get my item that I'm buying right now? Because, to me, I want to go to sales that I know that I'm going to get my item. Like I'm going to get an invoice. I'm going to get my item, within a week's time. And I know that everybody has different guidelines, and they should have, if you're having a live sale, you should have in the description what your policy is. and have that in writing, whatever your policy may be. And they're all going to be different because we are all different businesses. We have different ways of doing things. But I guess I'd just be very careful that you don't get sucked into
a bad place.
A bad place. Yeah. And I will, if I see somebody that's talking trash, talking bad, I'm done, blocked, delete, no access.
Well, there went our channels after tonight. All that negative.
Access is
Block,
denied.
delete.
Well, because I know I am an empath, and I don't want any of that. I can't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. It's access is denied.
That's right, Susan Soul Suckers. Well, and again, and I like what Allison said, is that just because it's something that we personally wouldn't do doesn't mean that it's right, doesn't mean that it's wrong. But again, it's just a question of discerning what it is that you want to consume, right? And the time and the energy that you're putting into that is less time and energy that maybe you are putting into somebody that's trying to encourage and uplift you.
Yeah.
So that's good food for thought. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just do the best you can.
Amen.
With what skills and what
day after day
humanity, because some people are good at being a person that can listen, and some people are good at being someone that can uplift. So do the best with the skills that you've been given.
And there's a balance between sharing your personal life with running the business in a professional way. So there's a balance to do both.
I don't. For me, I don't feel like I should be putting my personal life and mixing it in with my business. That's just what I choose. You're going to buy from me, you're going to buy from me because you want the items that I have, not because I'm telling you that I need money for X, Y, and Z.
Well, I don't know. Personally, for me, like, I don't know that there's anything really. If there was maybe something personal that occurred that would prevent me from doing content or doing sales, I would share that to a degree. But things that go on in my personal life, quite frankly, and I'm not going to say it's right. I'm not going to say it's wrong. At the end, it's not whatever. But my business is my business. I don't know. Like I can't. I can't imagine. I can't. There's not even words. I can't imagine putting. And no way, Jose. Like no. It just gets gray. I think it's very off-putting to me. It's very off-putting, and I think that I don't know. It blurs the line between. I think it's important to have boundaries, and I think that you kind of start to invite things into your life that I don't know, when you put it out there ain't no taking it back, good, bad, and indifferent, and you have to bear the responsibilities of putting that kind of information out there. I guess maybe is where I'm coming from with that.
Yeah.
I would never.
Well, for me, with my husband, he was always very personal with his fans. So when I stepped in to manage his brand, I took that model that he had created, and then being at a different point in his life where he couldn't engage on the same level, he didn't have the energy or didn't want to spend the energy because he wanted to be more with family. I took that model, but did it with boundaries. I set boundaries in place. And so he and I both have a way of sharing and connecting with our audience on a personal level, but still having those boundaries. So
yeah, I think that to some extent that's great. I mean, everybody knew about my whole poop hole situation. I mean, that was something that I brought in and shared with everybody.
That's why I'm saying there's a balance. You can have a balance. There's an appropriate level of it. I'm pretty open about my life, and it's also a lifestyle brand. It's a business, and there's a lifestyle brand attached to it. I'm not going to come into the live sale and talk all about what happened in my day, but I might talk about my day in a haul video where I'm just live impromptu doing a haul video or something like that. But yeah, in a live sale for me, it's just like, we're here to have this, this business.
Or I'm just saying, if you make one, then you have to make one knowing with all full intention that could end up on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, you make it, you put it out there ain't no taking it back. Just saying. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It's there. It's done. It's on tape.
Well, and there are some people that have a chat and a sale, and that's their model, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the way that I do it, because I'm having a sale. I'm having a sale.
Right.
Yeah. And
you could have two channels.
No, Mark keeps telling me to do 2 channels, and I'm like, no, I can't barely do the one. I'm gonna do 2. But yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right, ladies. Well, I think I know that we're going over time, but it's been a great conversation. And I know just one last question. Let's see if we can do it really quick, because I think it's a really good one. DC and Casey is asking, ladies, what do you think is going to be a hot item in 2022? Anything that we're keeping our eye on?
Pottery.
Agreed. Amy, Allison, how about you?
I would say that the trend that I've noticed since this year for Christmas is it has not fallen off. So I would say Christmas. But of course, that's my passion. I can just say from personal experience, November of 2020, it flatlined like the week after Thanksgiving because everyone had their stuff and they were done buying. But we are still selling Christmas. People aren't stopped and they are paying up. So I would say pre-1960s Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
That would say, I mean, it's not new. If you're looking for an innovative new thing, I know that didn't answer the question, but in my opinion, Christmas.
I think that that's a fantastic answer.
Christmas is going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting though, because I don't like last year it flatlined. I wouldn't have thought about selling in February or even January. I'd have been like, people need a break, but there's no break. They're ready. They want more.
Yeah.
For me, it's been devils. My dolls turning my dolls into devils with little horns and little tails, or it's going to be ears and tails.
I love the little devils.
That's taken off. So,
I think that someone said ironstone. I'm thinking about bringing a piece of ironstone tomorrow. We'll see.
Oh,
it's some of mine that I'm switching out, but I love antique ironstone.
Mm-hmm.
Bohemian.
Well, Gail, I might as well just leave mine up because in my living room, it's still Christmas.
Yeah, Blueberry Thistletea said boho is back. Look at Michael's face. If you were watching Four-Eyed Vintage last night, Michael.
That's fine. You can have all the boho you want. I'm going to be shopping in the Bohemian department. Okay.
I feel you, Michael. I like that.
His pinky's up.
Okay, I'll be right over here. Over here. Come on, Amy, let's go. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
All Avon. Everybody's voting Avon. Avon's going to make a comeback.
I swear to you, I bought some Avon.
Depending on what it is.
You did?
If it's figural, it just depends.
If it's one of those little cute brooches that had the lip gloss or the
I just sold some of those and I did well with those.
Those are collectible.
They're cute and they remind me of my childhood.
But like the car cologne things and all those, no. But the kitschy.
The combs, those are cute.
Yeah, those are cute.
I love a good Hummel. I agree, LaDonna. Don't be hating, Coleman. Don't be hating.
Don't be hating on it.
I know I did. I couldn't fit Bohemian in the entire thing because then it threw the entire thing off. But Well, all right, guys. Well, that has been an amazing evening. Allison, Amy, thank you all so much for being here again. It's
Thank
been
you,
so
guys.
long since you've been on the channel. Thank you. Misty, it is always a pleasure. And to everybody, of course, in the chat, a huge thank you for being with us this evening. So hope that you got some information. Maybe you got a little inspiration. You got a couple of laughs out of it. Always a good thing. Please don't forget that down in the description of the video, you are going to find both links to Instagram and YouTube when applicable. It's literally going to take like 2 minutes of you to click on everything and just hit subscribe and follow. It's that easy. Allison, Amy, when can we see you ladies next and where?
So I have 2 live sales this week. I have one tomorrow at 8 p.m. with Pinwheel Vintage. Her name is Laura. She's a hoot. It's always a barrel of laughs. She's a hoot and a half. And then Wednesday, I have an early sale with Mid-Century Maven, Miss Susie. And there will certainly be some Mid-Century, but we'll be doing a mix. So those are my sales for this week.
Amy, how about you, lady?
So on Wednesday, I will be here on YouTube with Wicked Good Vintage with Enamor Amy filling in for Sarah. And then we will have our special guest, Cole Eugene with Kitschy Flower.
Nice.
And then on Friday, Cole and I will be back over on my channel again. Wicked Good is on my channel, by the way, because we switch it back and forth. So we'll be on my channel this week on Friday. And that, I'm sorry. It's tired. I'm tired. It's tired. It's tired. Wicked Good is at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Right after my sale on Wednesdays.
Yes. So hop on over after Misty's
And
sale.
it's on your channel this week, right?
This week is my channel, yes.
Okay. So this week.
This week is my channel for Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern with the crafting show. So doll inclusive. Join us to craft. Join us for the sale. And then on Saturday, I will be on Instagram with Tallywhacker Vintage at 4 p.m. Eastern for a live sale.
Miss Pate?
Well, tomorrow, Michael and I have our sale at 1 o'clock Eastern. And I'm selling lots of books and ephemera and a whole mixture of things. I haven't even posted pictures of the ephemera yet, so I'll try to do that. And then Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern, I'm having a sale with Catherine Young on my channel at 1 o'clock. And then and then Sunday night we have 4-Eyed Vintage, and I'm going to be on the road. I'm going to be on the road in an undisclosed location, doing the sale. And but next Monday we're going to take the Monday off. No Vintage Rescue Squad next Monday because Misty will not be in service. Well, Misty will just be tired.
She's getting repaired that night, y'all.
Yeah, I'm going in to get my chassis adjusted. I don't even know what that means.
I thought you said that you weren't going to be putting out personal information. How's that going?
That's what I'm thinking.
I don't even know what that means. So I could have said something really bad. No, I'm going to be traveling home and I'm going to be tired. So that's what that means.
Okay. All right, guys. We all thank you again. Everybody, you have a great night. Don't forget, we will be off next Monday from Vintage Rescue Squad. And again, all of the links are right down below. Takes like a minute. All right, guys. Y'all have a good night.